My name is Sierra Fox, and I'm a vocal performance major.
My name is Erica Sponsler, and I'm a computer science major. This is an overview of our capstone project, submitted in partial fulfillment of the requirements of the Renee Crown University Honors Program at Syracuse University.
The premise of this creative capstone project was to develop a computer instrument that is capable of tuning itself flexibly in such a way as to not require a tempering of the Western scale, as is necessary for fixably tuned instruments. The difficulty in creating a perfectly tuned system on fixed instruments rises from the mathematical paradox of the musical harmonic series. The harmonic series, or overtone series, is the sequence of frequencies that sound naturally as overtones over a fundamental pitch. The overtone series specifically follows a pattern of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on, which thus has a proportional ratio pattern of 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, etc. These small integer ratios of frequencies represent the consonant, or in tune, harmonic intervals. When an interval does not have a small integer ratio between its notes, it is perceived as out of tune. When tuning a fixed instrument, for instance a piano, the intervals inherently cannot all be tuned justly, or according to the appropriate proportions. This is demonstrated very clearly in Pythagorean tuning, which is the earliest known tuning system. In this system, an instrument would be tuned starting with a D and tuning perfect fifths, which are 3 to 2 ratios, outward. Eventually, this would cycle through all of the notes in the chromatic scale, ending at each end on a G sharp or A flat, which are the same note. Consider the following calculations. We start with D, which has a frequency of 293.67 Hz. Then, the fifths above and below are calculated according to 3 to 2 proportions, and continue outward until each sides reach the G sharp or A flat note. At this point, there is one tuned note for each chromatic scale degree. By tuning successive octaves, or 2 to 1 ratios from each of these tuned notes, the rest of the piano can be tuned. Since A flat and G sharp are the same note, when they are brought into the same octave, they should have the same frequency. However, when we do the calculations, it is evident that they are significantly different. The difference is known as the Pythagorean comma, and it is because of this comma that fixed instruments are incapable of being tuned in such a way that all the intervals are their appropriate small integer ratios. Throughout history, people have developed various methods of distributing the comma throughout the intervals, and these tuning methods are known as temperaments.
The flexible tuning application allows the user to play in several historical temperaments. Equal temperament is the most prevalent tuning system in the world today. It divides the octave into 12 equal semitones, disregarding all small integer ratios except for the octave. Because of its prevalence, we have become accustomed to the dissonant intervals of the equal-tempered scale, but upon closer observation, we can hear that the intervals are not in tune.
When notes are not tuned to their small integer ratios, the frequencies interact in such a way that you can hear acoustical beats that create a wah-wah-wah-wah-wah sound. If you listen closely to this C major chord in equal temperament, you can hear these beats occurring rapidly. In Werkmeister 3, the beats occur much less frequently because this chord is more in tune than it is in equal temperament.
The purpose of our program was to create a tuning system that is not fixed, and is therefore capable of playing all intervals according to their correct ratios. It calculates the frequency of the notes you play mathematically based on the notes you've played directly before. If you listen to the same C major chord in flexible tuning, you can hear the intervals played correctly, and therefore no beats will sound. There are two flexible tuning systems included in this program. Sequential tuning uses the last note pressed as a reference note. This tuning system clearly demonstrates the flexible nature of the tuning systems, but will often create noticeable dissonances due to its disregard for held notes. For example, if I hold a C and then play a C scale, the notes will be tuned one after another, and the high C will not have the correct intervallic relationship with the held C. Flexible tuning is the more practical application of the dynamic tuning concept. It takes into account sounding notes when calculating the frequency of the note you are attempting to play. The same C scale now sounds consonant, as every note is tuned to the appropriate ratio with the held C.
To complicate matters, in some situations there are multiple small integer ratios that can be assigned to each interval. For example, the interval between the first two notes in the major scale is considered to be a 9:8 ratio, and the interval between the second two notes is considered to be a 10:9 ratio. However, both of these intervals are major seconds. The computer is incapable of determining which interval is appropriate on a case-by-case basis due to the very subjective nature of the decision. To account for this, we have included a preferences window where the user can choose what ratio they wish to use for each interval. The user has a choice between several ratios closely related to the commonly accepted proportions. There is also the option of specifying custom ratios for every interval.
The program can be played in real time, either using the computer keyboard, clicking the keys on the screen, or through the use of an external MIDI device. It can also play several preset pieces. All playing options can utilize any of the tuning systems, both static and dynamic, and the tuning systems may be changed at any time, including during preset pieces. On the bottom of the main screen, there is also a window where the frequencies of each sounding note are displayed. This window can be cleared, and the information can also be exported to a file so that the user can view the frequencies for each pitch more conveniently. For more specific instructions on the use of the program, please see the user manual.
For further information on the concept behind the program, please read the additional documents.
Both are available through the program on the About FlexTune screen and on the FlexTune CD.